11 minutes after the hour. We hope you're home with the day off today, don't we?
Yes.
Have a long weekend.
There will be a lot of folks off today, and a lot of folks heading to the stores today.
Right.
The malls are going to be swamped today. A lot of them, I was reading the paper, have special deals for the sales from like 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning until like 9. So a lot of early shoppers
get
out
those
today.
crowds in.
That's exactly right. So get that credit card warmed up. It's going to be a busy day out there. Let's take a look at what we've got in store for you once you hit the yard and head on out. Temperatures out there very pleasant in the 30s, even some 40s out there. It's a little bit warmer than what we expect for late November. Temperature 40 degrees up in the Enid area. 40 degrees also from Ponca City. It's 37 degrees in the Woodward Gauge area. Lucy Shank phoned in despite the fact that we gave the weather watchers a day off. She continues to call in, a dedicated weather watcher. 34 in Sealing, Oklahoma. Bob Bratton phoned in from Mangum. He's got 37 degrees. In Muskogee, it's 33 down in the southeast. In McAllister, 39 degrees. Let's check it out for central Oklahoma. 37 out there. The humidity is 64. Winds are from the south at 19. It's going to be a windy day all day long for today. And the records, 76 is the record high and 15 the record lows. I believe those are going to stand for today. We're not going to get that cold or that warm. We're watching some systems up in the northwest. The pattern will be changing as we get into early next week. Let's talk about today first of all. Can you see those little skinny lines that have drawn on there? Those represent lines of equal pressure, and there's a lot of them across the plains. When you see that pattern, that means a windy day. That's exactly what's going to happen. Look for wind gusts over 30 miles per hour across parts of the state. This little front's kind of puny. It's going to move in for tomorrow, cause a few clouds around. But other than that, no big change. There's another one that's northwest of that. That's one that's going to cool us off early next week. Today we're talking 60s and some 70s out west. Let's talk about what's ahead. That frontal system is up to the north. Will begin to slide down and cause some colder weather. And we're watching some colder air up to the north begin to build. And some of that will spill in for early next week. But until then, looks like some dandy weather. Here's the forecast then for Oklahoma for today. Sunny, windy, but warmer, gusty south winds. Highs in the 60s, 70s if you live out west. And for tonight, not quite as cold. Temperatures in the 30s and the 40s. South winds will settle down some tonight. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. Partly cloudy, warm, a south wind. Then that front begins to slide in for the afternoon hours. And the winds will shift to the northwest. Highs in the 60s and 70s across Oklahoma. Here's the 5-day forecast. And it calls for some temperatures to cool off just a little bit as we get into early next week. 60 degrees on Monday, could be colder, and then on Tuesday, 64 degrees. And a reminder, we're continuing with our first snow contest. Got a guess on when it's going to snow? I want you to write it down on the back of a postcard or the back of an envelope, the time and the date that the first measurable snow will fall at the National Weather Service office at Will Rogers Airport, and send it to First Snow Contest, KTVY, Box 14068, Oklahoma City, 73113. Winner will receive lots of neat stuff, some jumper cables and ice scraper and a lot of other stuff.
A long list of goodies we'll need soon, probably. This won't last, will it?
Hopefully it will, but no, I'm afraid reality will set in. Parts of next week will be a lot cooler, and it eventually will get cold. It just hasn't happened really yet.
But a nice weekend.
Yes,
Thank you, Dan. Next on News 4 Today, it's hush hush aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery. And in health, new hope for people who suffer from an embarrassing skin disorder. "17 minutes after the hour. Let's look forward. A news blackout remains in effect this morning as the crew of the Space Shuttle Discovery begins a second day in outer space. But NASA did issue one brief statement announcing when the mission would end. The space agency says Discovery will land Sunday night at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The Russian Air Force could be coming to Oklahoma City next summer. Officials with the annual Aerospace America Air Show say they've invited the Soviets to appear at next year's show. No word from the Russians yet whether they'll accept, but if they do, they'll bring to Oklahoma City some aircraft that have previously only been seen at very major events. Well, Barry Sanders is roaring like a lion yesterday as Detroit mauled Cleveland. Here's Bob Barry Jr. with highlights plus hardwood action. Hi, Bobby.
Well, good morning, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. And I bet you did a lot more than Jimmy Johnson, the head coach of the bounty-hunted Dallas Cowboys. That's right. After Philadelphia beat the Cowboys yesterday 27-0, Jimmy Johnson was very upset in his post-game remarks in the locker room. In fact, he accused Philadelphia head coach Buddy Ryan and his team of trying to injure Dallas players intentionally, specifically quarterback Troy Aikman and kicker Luis Zendejas, who used to be the Eagles kicker. Now, Jimmy says it was confirmed to him by a Philadelphia assistant coach and 2 Eagles players that from $200 to $500 in cash or bounties were offered to Philadelphia players who could knock out or injure Troy Aikman and Luis Zendejas. Here's the first play that I guess led Jimmy to his charges. Britt Hager, the former Texas star, leveled Troy Aikman early in the game. The fight was on. There was an ejection of Mike Pitts, number 74, in green for the Eagles. And again, Johnson made some strong remarks. You'll hear more from him next half hour. But this was how the game started for the Cowboys. It ended like this. Randall Cunningham to Chris Carter, not once but twice. You'll see 2 just tremendous catches by the former Ohio State star. Another one coming up here, beating Everson Walls like everybody has this season. Dallas drops to 1-11. It's the first time they've been shut out in 22 Thanksgiving Day games. And again, you'll hear more on the bounty hunter accusations against that guy, Buddy Ryan, next half hour. Now, Barry Sanders was the star for Detroit yesterday. The former OSU Heisman Trophy winner joined former OU Heisman Trophy winners Billy Sims and Steve Owens as the only guys ever in Detroit Lions history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. That was Sanders catching a screen pass and going 45 yards. This was the play where he went over 1,000, 1,016 for the season, and afterwards he talked about bigger yards he hopes to gain.
Everybody's making a big deal about the 1,000 yards, but I mean, you got double that last year, so you kind of,
that's right.
You're shortchanged
I'm
here.
slacking off on production. You know, hopefully I can get up to old form in the next few years.
But it is nice, I mean, to do that in a rookie season.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You know, Barry Sanders can talk like that because he rushed for over 2,800 yards at Oklahoma State a year ago. Still very impressive stats for him with Detroit this year, considering he missed almost all of preseason in that contract holdout. Well, in college football, big game today, the only one, 9th-ranked Arkansas against 14th-ranked Texas A&M in College Station. Both of those teams still have their eyes on a Cotton Bowl bid. That will be tonight. Now, last night there was a good game in the East inside the Carrier Dome. Major Harris of West Virginia, one of the leading Heisman Trophy candidates, scored on a 4th and goal, and the Mountaineers had a 7-3 lead over Dick McPherson's Syracuse Orangemen. But quarterback Mark McDonald went up top late in the first half and hit Rob Moore from 32 yards out, and the Orangemen led 17-14 at the break. But this was the eventual game winner. Rico Tyler of West Virginia goes in from a yard out. Syracuse had a few chances to tie late in the game, could not come up with it, and the final 24-17 in favor of West Virginia. Basketball tonight, the Sooners will take on the Athletes in Action in the final exhibition game for OU, 7:35 inside the Lloyd Noble Center in Norman. Of course, OU coming off that 98-87 win over the Australian national team just a week or so ago. And the finals of the Big Apple NIT will be played tonight inside Madison Square Garden, New York City, Kansas. Of the Big 8, the team that has knocked off number 1 UNLV and number 2 LSU will take on St. John's. That's sports. I'm Bob Berry Jr.
Thanks, Bobby. When we come back, Dan's measuring his waistline. Just how many calories were in that Thanksgiving feast? And later, the trials and tribulations of cooking that first Thanksgiving turkey.
We have the flashlight down in here. Todd's down looking at this thing, and we cannot find any giblets. I'm reaching my hand down in there, and there is nothing in there but blood.
Happy day after Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you got your fill. I certainly did. It's a nice day out there across Oklahoma today. Let's take a look at what's going on across the national radar. You can see up in the northwest, there's a little bit of rain up there, but other than that, no problems. Off to the east, we continue with some light snow. Let me kind of waddle over there and take a look at that. Across parts of the northeast, it's light. It's not near the mess that they had yesterday. Across Oklahoma, just a few light clouds around for today, and for tomorrow we're going to see a few more clouds as a frontal system that's up in the northwest begins to slide in. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll see the winds shift around just a little bit. Other than that, no problems. Temperature-wise for today, a little bit warmer than what we had yesterday. Temperatures today climbing up in the middle 60s. Out in western Oklahoma, that's a workout. Out in western Oklahoma, look for temperatures to top out in the low 70s. For tomorrow, just a little bit cooler across the northwest as that boundary begins to slide in. And then other than that, not expecting too much in the way of problems. The winds will settle down a little bit tomorrow. But today, expect a gusty day for today with winds gusting up to near 30 miles per hour. Again, in the metro area this morning, it's very nice. The skies are clear. The temperature out there, very nice in the upper 40s out there, looking for the high today in the middle 60s. It's 6:24. Tammy?
Dan, you may not want to hear this so early in the morning. I know Dan doesn't, but do you have any idea how many calories we all consumed yesterday at Thanksgiving dinner? Well, a modest portion of turkey without the skin, mashed potatoes, gravy, cranberry sauce, sweet corn stuffing, and green vegetable, 2 rolls, pumpkin pie with imitation whipped cream, of course, and 2 glasses of wine add up to, are you ready, 1,667 calories. Now, unless you're very active, that's about all the calories you'll need for an entire day. But after all, it's only once a year, or at least until Christmas. In other health news this morning, it's an embarrassing disorder which causes the skin to lose its color. It's not life-threatening, but it can be emotionally devastating. And as Dr. Art Uline tells us, treatment is not always easy.
Vitiligo occurs when pigment-producing cells in the skin stop functioning. This results in the development of pale, pinkish-white patches all over the body. There's no medical danger associated with this condition, but its appearance can cause a lot of distress. The usual treatment for vitiligo uses a drug called Sorolin in combination with ultraviolet light therapy to darken up the pale patches. But not everyone responds to this therapy. The newest method for dealing with small patches of vitiligo that are resistant to other treatment involves transplanting patches of healthy skin into the depigmented areas. Sorolin and ultraviolet light were relatively successful for 66-year-old Adriana Flores. Large patches of depigmented skin covered her body from head to toe only a year before. Now only small areas of resistant, depigmented skin remained on her hands and feet. Small circular patches of healthy skin were implanted on her hands 6 months before and have now grown to twice their original size. On this day, 12 plugs of normal skin taken from her left thigh were being implanted into a depigmented area on her right foot. It is expected that the plugs of normal skin will grow in size, ultimately merging together and displacing the patches of depigmented skin between them. Doctors are now experimenting with a technique that takes healthy pigment-producing cells called melanocytes from one part of the body and uses them in cultures to grow large numbers of cells outside the body. These are then injected into depigmented areas where they continue to grow and spread. This could have several advantages over the method we showed today. More research is needed to determine if that will be the case. I'm Dr. Art Uline.
Thank you, Doctor. Vitiligo shows up in about 1% of the population. That means in the Oklahoma City metropolitan area, there are probably more than 8,000 people who suffer from it. Coming up in our second half hour, why this holiday season is a special one for some folks in El Reno.
Also, I'll be along with a 5-day forecast.
And next, a dramatic rescue saves an Oklahoma City family from Thanksgiving tragedy.
Crews started working her immediately for removal of the structure and were able to revive her.
An Oklahoma City family is very thankful this morning thanks to a quick response from the Oklahoma City Fire Department. They're alive. Good morning and welcome back to News 4 Today. That exclusive story coming up in the second half hour. I'm Tammy Payne along with Dan Threlkeld. Devin has half the day off. He'll be back here with Dan at noon.
That's right. Weather-wise for today should be pretty nice. A lot of folks probably this morning wanting to consider getting out and starting an exercise program. If you overdid it yesterday, well, if you're going to be getting out this morning, 37 degrees. Skies are clear. Watch out for those gusty south winds up to 20 miles per hour. The winds will be strong all day long today, but the temperature will be up 65 today, 70 tomorrow, cooling down to 60 degrees by Monday. Coming up, we'll take a look at the weather for folks in town that will be headed back home. Weather all across the country coming up.
Took you 5 minutes to trim down, Dan. Not bad.
That's right. I did lose
Looking
that.
great.
Wouldn't it be nice if it was always that easy to just pull something out and drop it off?
I'd like a patent on that. Thanks, Dan. Topping news this morning, Oklahoma City firefighters rescued a woman from her burning home early this morning just in the nick of time. Firefighters say a man, a woman, and a young boy were sleeping in this home on Northwest 89th when a blaze broke out. The man and boy were able to escape, but the woman was still inside when firefighters arrived. Battling heat and smoke, one fireman found the unconscious woman and saved her.
And apparently there was a flashover or something that just all of a sudden gave a burst of heat that we couldn't stand, and I had to dive for the window and knock the captain out of the window. He was coming in, and we jumped back in there within just a couple of seconds and found her in a closet over in the corner, and knelt down and took her on out. The woman has been taken to Baptist Medical Center with burns over 50% of her body.
Cause of the fire is still under investigation at this hour. Another Oklahoma City man also has plenty of reason to be thankful this morning, despite a Thanksgiving Day fire at his house. He and his family are fine. By the time firefighters arrived, smoke and flames had engulfed the living room of this house. Fire officials say the blaze started when a floor furnace apparently set fire to a curtain. The family was upstairs when the fire started.
Smoke, so we got up and we looked, and the couch, the corner of the couch was on fire. So I screamed fire, and I went upstairs and I grabbed her. And by the time I got her and grabbed her, and then going back downstairs, it was just all smoky.
The man received minor injuries when he tried to pull a burning couch out of the house and was overcome with smoke. He was treated at a local hospital, again doing fine this morning. And firefighters will be sifting through the ruins of another fire that ended happily, this one in Yale. A fire destroyed a hotel there yesterday. Fortunately, the 3-story Yale hotel was vacant, so no one was hurt. Parishioners at Sacred Heart Catholic Church in El Reno have special cause to be thankful to this holiday weekend. Their church is 100 years old. For a century now, churchgoers have been coming together for Mass here. 86-year-old Hilda Wolf was baptized at Sacred Heart. She's been a member here longer than anyone else.
My own family and feeling is that we have something to hang on to. We really have a faith that carries us through thick and thin.
Wolf says that faith was what convinced folks to build Sacred Heart 100 years ago, and that's what's keeping it alive a century later. Thanksgiving dinner always looks so easy. Wave after wave of food just seems to pour out of the oven. But it isn't easy, of course, as one Edmond woman found out yesterday when she tried to cook Thanksgiving dinner for the very first time. News 4's Kelly Ogle has the harrowing details.
I mean, it just looks like a just huge animal in your sink. Look at this.